We, oh, yep, we'll record for those who can't make it. Thank you, Laura. All right. So gonna go around the horn really quickly and respond to our check-in question. If you had a time machine, would you go back in time or into the future? Oh, such a hard one. Okay, I've actually known this was going to be the question for about 24 hours and been thinking about it really hard. Probably overthinking, maybe, just maybe. I think I'd want to go back and tell my younger self not to sweat the small stuff. I think that's what I would want. Rose, how about you?
I think I tell myself a lot of things, but yeah, I definitely go back. Yeah, geez, that's a hard one. I would go back. I don't try to regret anything in my life, but there's a couple of things that I wish I would have done differently. Maybe a different college, focused on a different career, maybe at the beginning, kind of got to know myself a little bit better. That kind of thing. Yeah, definitely back.
All right. And Rose, you're calling in from where today?
Chicago.
Perfect. Thank you. Pastor Bruce, how about you?
Probably go back in time.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I like that. The idea of not sweating the little stuff, that would be good. Don't know if I would change anything. Maybe work a little harder at a few things.
Thank you, Pastor Bruce. And you're calling in from?
Well, Northeast Iowa.
Northeast Iowa. Thank you.
The balmy 19 below.
Oh, sweet petunias. All right. And Danny, good to see you.
Good to be seen. I wouldn't do either of them. I am just delighted I got here, and I would just, I'm happy, and I'm in Boston.
I love that. Thanks, Danny. Lindsay?
Yeah, I think I would also go back to see people I missed, experience things over again, and give myself a few tips along the way. And I'm Lindsay. I'm in Sacramento, California.
Thanks, Lindsay. And Mary?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Mary Wire Albright. I'm with the Patient Family Network, Roseville, California, Sutter Care.
Great. Well, welcome. I'm glad you joined us today. What do you think? Would you go backwards or forwards?
Oh, I like going forward.
I love that. Thank you, Mary. I'm glad you joined. And Michelle.
Hi, I calling in from Springfield, Illinois. Similar to Bruce, it's freezing here. I think we'd rather join you guys on the West Coast. It's not fun here at all. We're at that cold stage where it's so cold it hurts your face. And I would go back, not to change anything. I don't believe in changing anything from the past, but I would love to kind of soak in some moments that maybe I thought I would have more time for, or didn't enjoy it when I should have. So that is what I would go back for.
Love that. Thanks, Michelle. And Patricia?
Hi, my name is Trish, and I'm calling from Westfield, Massachusetts, and I'm fine with just staying in today, enjoying the moment. Glad I'm here.
Glad you're here too. Fantastic. Dorothy.
Well, hello, and good to see you all. I'm calling in from Georgia, and it's amazing to be able to say that now from being in Virginia so long. But to tell the truth about it, I don't know.
All right.
There would be some things that, I would love to change if I could go back, but right now I'm enjoying where I am. So
all good.
Stand still.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dorothy. Good morning, Deneen.
Greetings from South Carolina. So happy to see you all. And it is a balmy, cold day here, and our children are doing e-learning because we're expecting snow, perhaps.
Oh.
At least they're hoping for it, but I think it's going to be freezing rain.
Oh.
So the question, I'm along with Danny. I want to stand still. So I've been telling people for a year, I've been blinking at 50. Well, in March, I'm turning 50. And so I know the value of time. And so I don't want to go back. I don't want to go forward. I want to be still and enjoy just the second, every single second, just freeze it for a moment. So thank you, Danny, for that. I certainly get where you're coming from.
Soak it all up. Awesome. Pamela.
Good morning. I'm Pamela from Las Vegas, where it's already mid-40s and it'll be 60 today. So we're very blessed here for gorgeous winters. And I would like to go back, like others have talked about, and just tell myself not to sweat the small stuff, be gentler with myself. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Mark?
Hello, everybody. I'm calling from Honolulu, part of the Quinn QIO network that works out of Hawaii and the Pacific Islands. And I would definitely want to go into the future.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us today and calling in. It's early for you, huh?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Well, I'm grateful we now have 2 patient family advisors in the network from the Hawaiian Islands. So we'll have to make sure you guys get connected.
Great.
If you aren't already.
Thank you.
All right. And Stephen.
Hey, I was kind of thinking about the future actually lately, so I would like to check it out myself, see if any of my what we'll call guesses come true or not.
Well, you certainly have a lot to look forward to with a wedding coming up. Spill in the beans. And Laura, if you have any voice, or you can put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
Okay, put it in the chat. Poor Laura is struggling with a little laryngitis. All right, well, thank you again for joining us. If we can go to the next slide. The new format for the coffee chats is a refresh based on the feedback that we got from the Patient Family Advisory Network Advisory Board. That's a mouthful, but members of the PFA network who are really guiding the development and growth of the PFA network, along with a lot of our members of the PFA network who just really want to connect with other advisors that are doing other work and see what folks are doing, where we can make these connections. And so we're just shifting it a bit from, just kind of an open chat form to really highlighting 1 or 2 or whoever's work that's going on around the country. And I love, as we went around, the regional diversity we have on the call today is just pretty incredible, really cool. So with this new format, we'll have an opportunity if you have a project you're all working on. I know all of you are very busy with Quinn QIOs and PCORI work and all kinds of things going on. So if you have something you'd like to share with the network, or maybe it's an idea you're percolating on to maybe submit. I know PCORI put out a new request for proposals for engagement awards yesterday. So if you have an idea that you want to get some, input on, this is our meeting to connect with one another and really highlight what's going on in the network. So any questions about it, kind of the shift to the format? All right. Well, with that said, I also want to invite each of you, as you know, we are a learning, growing organization and certainly a learning, growing community together. So I invite your feedback. Let us know, how we need to tweak this. This is something new. So we anticipate a few bumps along the way. Let us know what those bumps are and how we can better serve the community of the PFA network. Cool. All good. I'm seeing agreement for the most part. All right. So on the next slide, Without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce Rose Diaz, calling in again from Chicago, Illinois. And Rose is, we have the great fortune to work together on the Cynosure Hospital Quality Improvement Collaborative. And Rose also works with her local hospital and does some wellness coaching. So I thought it would be a great starting point for us to kind of look at the convergence of how Rose is integrating her personal passions with her PFA role in the healthcare system. So with that, Rose, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Libby. Thanks for all that.
Sure.
Laura, are you going to push my slides through or no? Okay. So as Libby said, I'm a life and wellness coach and also restorative practice facilitator. If not everyone knows what a coach is, it's someone who helps you with awareness and motivates you to reach your goals, to look at what's stopping you, help you get there and hopefully find value and passion in life. And then I started getting into wellness years ago, but also especially recently, I think it's very important for our health. So in a restorative practices facilitator, I got trained. Oh, I thought that was mine. Somebody's alarm going off. So restorative practice is an evidence-based practice that was originally created in New Zealand, and it was to work with youth that were having conflict. And it was a way to repair and build relationships in a healthy way, in a compassionate way, not just blaming. It has shifted over the years from being reactive to proactive. And these circles were started so that people could come together, sit in a circle. Obviously, we can't be in the same room together, but sit in intimate settings and share experiences and share, their voice. Okay, next slide. Yeah, so I thought it'd be valuable to share with you some things that we do as humans. Part of restorative practices is they talk about the compass of shame. And shame's not necessarily how you and I might think of it. When victims get attacked, when there's someone gets attacked and they're a victim, they immediately go to shame, even though they've done nothing wrong. So really shame is just the disruption of joy in someone's life, right? So if someone comes and says something, having a great day, and all of a sudden they say something, whether they yell at you or they insult you, what we do as humans is we tend to go into one or many of these quadrants. And I think when you're looking at wellness and finding joy in your life, it's very important to know what you do. So a lot of times we withdraw. We don't want to be around anyone when we feel shame. Sometimes we'll go back and attack the other person. Sometimes we'll do and put ourselves down. And other times we just avoid things. I'm just going to go watch Netflix for 8 hours or drink a bottle of wine. And it's really important to check in with yourself when these things are happening, because I think awareness is always important when it comes to wellness. Okay, next slide. So when we talk about wellness, I do feel like, we're at a place in our lives that everybody knows what we should do. But habits, there's a wellness coach and a psychologist, Dr. Orlowski, who says our present lifestyles is always maintained by some combination of habit, comfort, fear, and reinforcement. So I want you to think about that. Habit, comfort, fear, and reinforcement. The US is big on comfort and pleasure, right? That's why we can sit and isolated in our homes and watch Netflix all day long, order, Uber Eats, eat, crappy food. It's very easy to isolate and have these habits that we're forming. So it's really important to have awareness of what you're doing and what creates wellness in your life. So productive deep sleep. I hear a lot of people, I don't sleep well. It's very important. It's very important physically, mentally, for so many reasons. A healthy diet, more raw foods, less processed foods, any kind of movement. I don't care if it's even 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day, something, we all need that. Other things are like laughter, music, nature, creativity. Connection is huge. Love, relationships, and anything that brings you joy, honestly. So when we look at this stuff, wellness is also the opposite of, being stressed. So some things that we can do is slow down, create awareness. What are we really doing? Because there's this tendency to be on autopilot, right? One aspect of habit is it dulls our awareness. We're constantly on autopilot. So every day you come up and you do the same thing. You want to make change, but you first have to look at what your choices are and how you're feeling about it. And then resiliency is huge. So right now, when people say, oh, I hope this pandemic ends, the more we resist, the more we fight things, it's not healthy for our immune system. It's better to say, well, what am I going to do if it doesn't go away for the next 2 or 3 years? What am I going to enjoy? How am I going to handle it? Acceptance is huge. Then gratitude. What's come out of this? It's really good. I look at that all the time. I'm working from home, and actually I love it. I never want to go back to the way things were before. So again, wellness is just asking yourself, your body, your mind, your soul, what do I need? And then responding to it. But you have to have a break in what you're doing to change those things. Next slide, please. Okay, so I just wanted to show you kind of what circles. So circles are, again, you're in an intimate setting. You can do this in your family. You can do this with meetings. You can do this in any kind of group setting, right? And you just create questions around any topic, whether if you're doing it in a working environment, what's a positive, more supportive environment if you're trying to create that. So I did it around wellness. So there's certain rules when you're in a circle. One person talk at a time. Everything stays confidential. You speak from the heart. You're authentic and open. And then you also listen from the heart. You don't give other people advice or judge or even comment. You give everybody the space to, so that you really listen to what they're saying. This creates the trust. And then you trust you'll know what to say. And you also just say enough. You're considerate of everybody's time. So there's a lot of awareness that comes along with this. So I just wanted to go around. Normally I would start and ask like a fun question like Libby did, about where would you go in your past or your future. But I'm just giving you kind of an intro to this. I'd actually I want you to all think of a time when you were feeling healthy and energetic and in your life. I want you to imagine what that looked like, what that felt like. And think about some of the things you were doing for your wellness to feel that way whenever this was, right? When you were feeling the best. And I want you to share, what was something you were doing then that you're not doing now? Anyone? So what's something for your wellness that you did before that you're not doing now that maybe you'd like to add? Mary?
This is very hard to share. What really brought joy into my life was ballroom dancing. It is something very creative for me. I could be a teacher as well.
Wow.
The hardest part right now is not being able to be close enough to do that. My partner in life now has some medical issues, which keeps him away from crowds. So I'm struggling with that. And what is the best part of my life? What am I grateful for? I'm still here.
No, you can just, we don't have time to go through all of them, but that's exactly what we do. We'd go around and we'd all share all of the questions one at a time.
Okay.
But what I'd love to know is when you felt healthy, what was something that you were doing?
And that was it. That was one of the biggest parts of my retirement.
Oh.
And it was like twice a week.
Wow.
It was, I was learning to teach again in my retirement. I'm a retired entrepreneur. And I miss it. Hello.
Yeah, I bet. I love to dance. So yeah, I know what you're saying. There's a lot of things that we can't do right now, and I'm hoping that we can do them soon again without holding on to it. And is there a way that you could do something short of that, Mary? Something
Say that again.
What's that?
Ask that question again, please.
So is there something you could do instead of that? Is there some way to accommodate that at home?
I've tried. I am
Yeah.
doing some line dancing on Fridays, but it doesn't warm the heart
Yeah.
like ballroom dancing.
Well, thank you for sharing. That's wonderful. There's a lot of things I miss right now too. Anybody else? Anything that something you were doing for your wellness before? Stephen says spending time in the ocean. Wait, I've got some on the chat. Let's see. Running. Lindsay says running. I used to train for half marathons and made me feel fantastic. Wow. Okay. Let's see. Oh, that's going back in time. So anyone else? Oh, Michelle said meditation.
I struggle with that too, Michelle. I just think every time I sit down to do it, I got 5 other things I need to do, which is exactly why you're supposed to do meditation. And then I have this whole internal conversation. I totally get that one.
Well, and I think it's just, you know, you're pressed for time right now. Everything feels, you know, condensed. I don't know for other people in the room, but I have kiddos, so it's, you know, it's back to school time and you still have, you know, COVID crazy chaos happening and homework and dinner and bath time, and before you know it, the day's over. And then same thing, even if you do kind of feel like you've etched out time for it, your brain is so just like compacted with all of this stuff, then, you know, the noise that you're supposed to be meditating out, that you can't get to it, it feels like. So yeah, it's just a lot, I guess.
I totally get that one.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. I have the same issue, and for me, meditation, and so I say to myself, 3 o'clock, that's the time, and especially when it's all busy. The other thing I do is that when I sit down, I already know, because that's as part of it. Okay, so sometimes I'm just, what I think is I've failed at it, so I'm in there and it's still just as busy and just as busy, but I don't care. It's the habit. I did it. I got up. Instead of judging it, it's still better than just being, you know, out of it. So again, it's creating the habit. Because yes, right now we need it more than anything. I agree. Anyone else? Is there something that you used to do for your wellness that you wish you could put it back, or that you'd like to do again?
I'll share. This is Deneen. One of the things that, and it was mainly for my spiritual wellness that kind of translated into every aspect of my life. I really miss singing in my church choir. Like I because of COVID, and, you know, I look forward to going to practice, the camaraderie and the fellowship and the sisterhood and brotherhood of all of the, you know, like members, those shared experiences during our service time, and just the holiness of it all and the reprieve I got. And it also filled me up for the next week. And so I miss, you know, it's different to try to do it virtually, in that human connection, like some of the others have mentioned. I miss that part of worshiping one-on-one with others. So yeah, I know I'll get back to that, and I'm still kind of singing around the house. Hopefully I'm singing in key. So, but yeah, that's one of them. Thank you for doing this, Ms. Diaz.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for sharing that. And I get that too. I feel like I'm doing mini versions of everything I used to do. Like you said, now you're singing alone. So I'm trying to like substitute things that I've had in my life that I can't do. And I also noticed that when I do see people, oh my gosh, I've never appreciated it more than ever before, right? And I do know that when we get back to things, doing those things, we really will be grateful for it. And let's see, oh, Linda says, I took Taekwondo with my children since I had to be there to oversee my son's medical care at each session, end up with a 2nd degree in black belt. Woo, nice. And the kids earned 3rd degree black belts after many years of the classes. Nice. My daughter's taking jiu-jitsu right now. I love that. It's very, very cool to see when she comes home and shows me. Oh, that's just reading Lucy's thing. I can't carry a note, but I have always thought it would be a powerful experience to be able to harmonize with other humans. That's funny. You're funny. So the point is to try to create some awareness around wellness, what you've done, what you can still do. And again, to stop, you don't have to meditate, but you can stop and take life a little bit slower and go, what can I do? So can you go to the next slide, Laura? Thank you. So,
hello, Ms. Diaz. This is Connie Montgomery. And there's one thing I'd like to state. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit slower coming in with this. For my health and wellness, it was my daily connect with my mother. She passed away October the 20th, 2021. And we always had those mother-daughter check-ins every day where we just call and talk to each other and just kind of lift each other up for the day. And once she passed away, yesterday was 3 months, me being without her, that definitely impacted and affected my emotional wellness. But what I've done is try to recreate a little bit of that and now making that time with my daughter. So I call Connor, who's in Massachusetts. She works for MIT and Harvard. And what I do is I try to check in and spend that time having an uplifting moment with her. And that sort of helps me get through that moment of not being able to do that with mother. That's it. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Connie. And my heart goes out to you. And that is that is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, obviously she can't talk to her mother anymore, but how do we take something like that and still take care of ourselves and have another connection? That's a beautiful thing. And again, that's not just a habit, but that's putting in time and celebrating in a different way. So one thing I wanted you to come away with again is normally I do this with coaching. I talk to people about making small changes and slowly increasing them over time is what creates long-term habits. You don't start running a marathon tomorrow. What you do is you decide, okay, I'm gonna instead, what can I do for my wellness? I'm gonna spend 20 minutes next week doing something, whether it's meditating or just dancing on my own or singing or anything that brings you joy, talking to someone, connecting, any of those things, just adding it to your life, right? And then what habit isn't serving you or supporting you right now, and what are you tolerating? So sometimes we create things that we know aren't good for us, and again, it's not completely changing your life because it's got to be small steps. So I want you to think of something that isn't serving you and think of something that when you take something away that isn't serving you, then add something that brings you joy. And think about, be specific. Okay, I am just going to set my alarm to meditate today at 3 o'clock or next week at specific time. And then normally as a coach, you would tell me and I make you accountable, but find someone else, like Libby, you can say, Laura, Lindsay, I want you to hold me accountable. Check in with me after Tuesday. I'm supposed to, do meditation for 15 minutes at this time. Send me a text or an email to see if I've done it. And that holds you accountable. And then you do it again the following week and the following week. And you don't add more to it and increase it until it feels right. Okay. So hopefully you can take some of this stuff away with you. And then also, how are you going to celebrate it? Because it changes hard. It is hard, right? So, okay, once you've meditated, what's something small, something nice you can do for yourself to pat yourself on the back, think about that as well. So, again, I don't have time to coach each one of you, but is there something that someone wants to share that they can think of, they can do specifically next week to add to their wellness?
Well, for me, Rose, it's exercise on a regular basis. I've been so inconsistent. In fact, I was on a workout regimen that tracks all my workouts, and I have an 8-week streak going of 1 workout per week, which I don't think is going to help.
So what kind of structures do you put in to do it? And so
obviously
like,
not effective ones.
Well, so for
I
me,
need to work on that.
well, so for me, what helped was a couple things. I'd get a friend because being on the elliptical it's like easy for me. And I'd say, will you meet me at the gym? Because and then I would make, or you walk with me, and then we'd talk and walk, and exercise didn't feel like anything. I used to do it on the lakefront and for 3 hours with a girlfriend.
Wow.
Like I told someone, hey, ask me if I if I went to the gym tomorrow, because it would force me, because I like to be my word, and I don't want someone like going, did you go? No, I did, so I would create that kind of a structure. Something structures can be anything. Like I don't like cleaning toilets. So anytime I have to clean the bathrooms, I do it when a friend calls, we're going to talk for a long time, or I put music on, so you want to make that or take a class, you want to make the structure something so that it makes it fun and enjoyable until you create a habit around it. From Michelle, let's see. What's Michelle saying? Okay, so she's saying that we have a small group of friends that we created a Facebook group, and we hold each other accountable. Even if it's a 5-minute walk, we have to check in that we did some movement. If not, we friendly tease one another. It's been a great motivator. That's exactly. People hire me as a coach to make them accountable. And the teasing is great. We never make anyone feel badly. If you're not doing it, Libby, that's the point. Why aren't you doing it? It's never about saying, oh, you didn't do it, bad girl. It's about something you're doing it is not making it enjoyable for you, so change, you need like 5 positives to create change. So you got to look at the structure around it. Great, wonderful. Well, I don't know how my time is it in 20 minutes? The next slide, I just want to show you real quick. What I normally do at the end is I do a guided meditation with everyone, just so you can feel what it's like to, find a little peace and calmness, and just remind you that, life is about accepting ourselves and self-care. Do I have time for a couple minutes? I don't know. Oh, you're on mute, Libby.
Yeah. I think what, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I might have ran my 5 minutes.
It's a little bit long, but really, so I think what we want to do is sort of open up a discussion. So as we were talking about, the coffee chats are now kind of pivoting into, Rose has shared a program that she's promoting and working on. And so how can Rose take this personal passion of hers around coaching and intersect it with her work as a patient family advisor? So for instance, I mentioned Rose and I are working together on the Sign Assure Hospital Quality Improvement Collaborative. How do you guys see, what ideas do you have? What questions do you have? What suggestions do you have for Rose in terms of improving your program and making it accessible? I guess I was interested in this program because our healthcare community is so feeling the brunt of everything, and and is really dissipating in a lot of ways. So how could something like this, how could we leverage a PFAC with a wellness program like this to help our frontline staff to create some sense of wellness at this critical juncture?
So I'm just going to say real quick. So let me tell you, like I did this around a detention center that was there's such an increase of violence. Staff members were quitting, too much COVID was coming through, and they were really stressed. And I actually sat with them, 15 of them, for 3 weeks, different groups. And we asked tough questions around the circle, like, what is stressing you the most? What do you fear the most right now? How can we support each other? And what are you grateful for? And everyone loved it because they said the same thing that I'm sure healthcare workers are saying. I can't go home and tell people that, what I'm afraid of about getting COVID or being attacked. I can't tell my family that, but they can share it in this group. So that's the point, of doing it to support healthcare workers right now, because I know there's a lot of fear.
Do they have support groups for healthcare workers? Do they actually, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And it's a great question, Mary. I think that would be, something we might do is go back to our healthcare organizations and ask, how are they supporting their frontline staff right now? I'm not aware of organization-based much. I feel like I've heard of little bits here and there, but very little. I think that peer connection on this kind of a canvas, it could be really helpful.
So I've heard of a few. They're called them Care for the Caregiver programs, but the ones I've heard of are, I guess, triggered or alerted when there's a safety or a harm event that happens in the hospital. Trying to change the culture in those organizations to say, to embrace to err as human, and provide some peer caregiver support when events of harm occur.
May I ask a question? Does hospital care workers, doctors, nurses, etc., do they talk with each other? Do they share their feelings? Because my understanding is, according to your third question here, provider burnout, my understanding is burnout comes from not from an emotional end, not really addressing one person as a human being. Like a nurse or a doctor is overwhelmed and they have this feeling about this patient. They can't release this feeling, they're holding back. And my thought on this is that's where the burnout comes from, basically, is not being addressed to the point that I have a need, saying I have a need, where can I go with this need so I can vent and let it out?
That's a great point. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Veronica and I'm with Hamilton Medical Center here in Dalton, Georgia. And what I've seen here as the patient experience representative here for the hospital and administration is that the fear and the anxiety for our own staff has become so much more, so much higher, especially when we see how this whole thing has affected our very own, when our own nurses are dying, when our own physicians are out, when our own physicians have passed away or out for days and days at a time. One of the things that we have implemented here at Hamilton, we have created a respite room for our staff here that allows our staff to take a break and get away from what's happening on the unit. We kind of tag team and we call it Code Violet, where we allow, that's kind of code to your team members to let you know, hey, I need a break. I got to step away. I don't have a whole lot of time to explain. I just need a break right now. In our respite room, we have a setup where we have massage chairs. We have our wellness staff that comes over to assist and support with the therapist on board, and our chaplains are also on board. Not a whole lot, not an extended long-term something, but it's the one thing that we have available right now that we are using and that our staff is taking advantage of.
Thank you so much, Veronica. I think that sounds like an amazing step, and I'm curious, we are a group here of patient family advisors and really wanting to support the healthcare staff. We feel very much that we're all in this together. So the healthcare team is an important, their wellness is important to us as patients and families. And so Rose's program has the potential to add that layer of support too. So that's fantastic. Connie, I wonder if I could ask. Connie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I wonder if I could call on you because I don't know why I'm getting an echo.
Do you have two devices on?
No. Is it gone away? It's gone away.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So I'll start that again. Connie, I wonder if I could call on you because I know you have a program that you've been able to move forward around, hear me and raising compassionate caregiving. Maybe Connie, do you have two devices going?
No, but what I do have is I have you on the you're coming through the car speakers.
Oh.
So that may be extra echo or sound that you hear because you're not just coming through my device in my hand, my little smartphone. You're coming through the car speakers. Gotcha. But hear with your eyes, see with your heart, compassionate healthcare. That particular program may be the one that you're speaking about. And I think, Libby, that's a great idea where we can have our PFACs and other healthcare institutions look at these programs when they're having like a brown bag session, maybe a 30-minute break in the day, and someone like Ms. Diaz's program or this particular program that I'm speaking about, Compassionate Healthcare, can come in and just for a few minutes give them tips of hands-on practical things that they can do just for the moment to alleviate just some of that burden and oppression that they may be feeling. Just decompress for a moment.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. That's exactly what I was getting to, Connie. And so I wonder if you could share with Rose as she's trying to advance this program. How did you get started with getting your program into the Medical University of South Carolina?
The best way I did was go to the PFACT leader and manager there at Medical University of South Carolina, Ms. Caroline DeLongchamps, and I shared with her what my program was about. And then she in turn gave me the opportunity to speak before her PFAC organization, the Patient and Family Advisory Council. And after sharing with them what the program was about, because their PFAC is made up, our PFAC has care team members as well as patient family advisors. They were able to hear the program, see what it's about, and wanted it. And so they started sharing it with other members. And because we've got so many care team members and so many satellite MUSC health programs in the state of South Carolina, they all enjoyed it and wanted to use it. And so that's how it went, word of mouth. But wherever Ms. Diaz is located, I would recommend that she go and speak with whomever is the manager, the individuals in charge of beginning their PFAC program or starting the PFAC program there. Just share a little bit what it is she offers, because this is invaluable now. I'm thinking, I was a former occupational therapist, and as a healthcare practitioner and hearing some of the care team members around the state talk and even around the country talk about how fatigued and tired they are. This service that she's offering is invaluable. So once they know that she is out there and she's able to maybe do a brown bag 30-minute to 40-minute session with some healthcare workers when they're on break or whatever have you, it'll be a game changer.
Thank you, Connie, for that.
Let's see, Mary, did you have a comment? Yeah. And then Linda, I think it looks like you have a comment as well. Okay, go ahead, Mary.
A quick question. Connie, if I wanted to approach someone at Sutter Health at the hospital, what degree would I check with them to be able to give them the opportunity to know about what can be available for our doctors and nurses?
I would recommend always going through your patient and family care coordinators, managers, or advocates, because those individuals are going to be our ways and our keys into the hospital systems. Go to those managers and share with them about the programs or the information you know about being a patient, or family member, or caregiver. And that individual kind of gets the word throughout the hospital. And plus it's going in the way we want it to go through the hospital system, patient and family-centered care. And going in from that avenue is just a great lever arm that we have. So find the patient and family-centered care coordinator, advocate, or manager at your hospital and share with them about the programming that you know that's available that would help the healthcare practitioners and workers, especially with burnout.
And Mary, Lindsay is also a Sutter patient family advisor. So she may be able to help you figure out who that person is if you want to connect with her offline as well. Thanks. Linda Starnes?
Yeah, hey, everybody. I was just going to say, similar to what you were just suggesting, Connie, but another approach is, we are all in this boat together, actually, because caregiver fatigue, compassion fatigue for our teachers, parents, everyone, we are all dealing with this burnout and compassion fatigue situation. And so approaching it as hey, this is all of us together. And for my work team, I'm in public health, but we are embedding short activities in every meeting of our main staff meetings, and just saying that we recognize we all might need this at any given time, and here are some tools that you can use at home as well. And there are so many different infographics and tip sheets and everything coming out in this realm that we often walk away with a tip sheet as well as going through some of the exercises. But I would think every PFAC meeting could benefit from having a short start point of some type of meditation or other activity that could lend itself to that session.
Yeah, Linda, I think you're hitting the nail on the head in terms of the time, really shrinking this down to a 20 and 30 minute, Connie mentioned. So yeah, I think that's key in this environment. Deneen, did you have a comment?
Yes, I wanted to maybe pose another option too, or an addition. Might we consider also reaching out directly to patients and families? I mean, we're on PFACs, and I know we work with a lot of providers and clinicians one-on-one, but the bulk of at least the work here that we do at the Children's Hospital, sometimes it's a lot more direct care with patients and families. Well, maybe not so much with COVID right now, but Rose, have you, or could you even consider partnering with the Ronald McDonald House, with the Children's Hospitals? They are in immediate need, and you have families right there on site. They are so welcoming, and as long as you follow protocol and go through their volunteer program, you could actually go on site, have direct contact with those patients and families, and it's a revolving door. And not only that, you have hospital representation who also come on site with the Ronald McDonald House. A lot of the children's hospitals have a room on site at the hospital, or you could actually go to the sites where patients and families stay the night. They have conference rooms and facilities, and a lot of times they have a small budget to help cover food and incidentals. So, while they're doing dinner, you could come in and do a presentation or lunch, and you can leave little goodies. There's so much that you could think of even outside the parameters of what we're discussing. And so I invite you to connect in all of these ways, especially with our caregivers, our mamas and dads and grandparents and significant others who are really, don't have these resources at their fingertips. So, and I'll be happy to send you some contacts in my state and some other states where I'm sure they'll receive you with open arms.
Great, thank you.
Wonderful. Well, my heart is bursting because this is exactly what the pivot we were hoping to make, which was to share our projects with one another, get feedback. I think, Deneen, your comments just completely highlighted the third bullet. Are the provider burnout and patient family engagement conversations connected? And I think they really are, to your point. So On the next slide, then I'm going to have to move us along to finish us up. But on the next slide, again, this is what we had hoped. We want to hear from you. Is this helpful to you? Is this a valuable use of your time? And also, if you have a project or an idea or something you're really proud of that you want to share with this community, please complete this survey and we'll get you some time on this meeting, the coffee chats. It would be fantastic. The more that we share across this diverse community, the more spread and uptake we can support across the country for real, authentic, and high value partnerships with patients and family caregivers. So invite you to definitely join us for that. Before I move on to the next slide, can I just do a quick temperature check? I'm looking at my time. Was this a helpful format? Any suggestions for improving this format? What do you think? What do you think?
I absolutely love this format, Libby. I love having the speaker come in. Having her share and interact with us, and then feedback being provided. I absolutely love that. More importantly, I love everybody pooling in and sharing their ideas about things that we can do to move forward and help each other make it, especially during this time as practitioners, as patient and family caregivers. But at this time, I'd also like to ask everyone on this call, if they could, just send me at my email, clemont10@icloud.com, just one statement about something they would like to see improve in healthcare in our nation. And the reason I'm asking this is because very soon I'll be on a huge panel discussion with Health Affairs, C-SPAN, and Health in This Nation. And I'm just wanting to collect ideas from people who I know are out here on the front lines about just one thing they'd like to see improve in healthcare. Thank y'all so much.
Oh, we'd be happy to do that, Connie. I just spoke for everybody on the call. Sorry. I'd be happy to do that. And I have a feeling others will as well. Connie, can you put your email in the chat box? Are you able to do that?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Awesome. Others, is this format helpful? Other suggestions for improvement? Janine?
Libby, I'm so excited. From the time that you were thinking about doing this, I was absolutely on board. I like the fact that you've added the presenter survey with doing this coffee chat. I would love to encourage that we have more members to participate. I think everyone should have a day or a moment that they have a topic that's burning that they would love to share. And hands down, this is probably the best coffee chat I've attended in a while. No pun intended for the rest of them, but I really like the feedback and the education received from this one. So I appreciate the format. Thank you.
Thanks, Janine. I appreciate those comments. And as you know, one of the reasons for doing this, as well as being responsive to our advisory board and our DEI work groups request for more inclusive activities. And so does this feel more inclusive way for us? We have such a diverse community, but not everybody's been active. So this is an effort as well to be a bit more inclusive. So welcome feedbacks on that as well.
I'm relatively new to this group, and I came on board in this position where I here at the hospital here right when the pandemic started, and so I was just overwhelmed and just delighted, I think is the better word, to see that there is something out here during this time for us to come together and brainstorm and share, and sometimes simply just to exhale, to kind of get ideas of what's happening and to know that we're not alone over here, because nothing is what it used to be anymore. And just to touch base with you all and kind of hear and feel that, we're special, but we're not quite that special because everybody's experiencing the same issues. So I thank you all for being available and taking this moment to be present with us today, because some of us need that. So thank you.
I'm so glad that you joined us. You know, and that was the original intent of the coffee chats, was to avoid anyone feeling isolated during the pandemic. We started the coffee chats when the pandemic started because everybody was, you know, fearful and feeling isolated, ourselves included. And so it's kind of a nice pairing to see where we started meeting the need as well as how we're evolving. So thank you.
Sure. Yes, thank you.
Any others? All right. Well, we've got 1 minute left, but as always, please send us an email or let us know your thoughts. No, you can keep going, Lawrence. Okay, go ahead. Let us know your thoughts on coffee chats if you want to present, or anything else, how we can improve the PFA network peer connections. All right, so one new engagement opportunity I wanted to share with all of you. PFCC Partners works with Acumen Measure Development organization, and along with CMS, they are moving forward new measures in the 4 areas that you see on the screen: heart failure, inpatient treatment that of psychosis and related conditions, depression, low back pain, and actually also emergency room trips. So that should have been up there as well. I apologize for that. So right now we're in field testing, which means there is a survey open for patient and family feedback. If you have maybe 10, 15 minutes to complete a survey about your experiences, that would inform what's most important for measures to evaluate from the patient and family perspective, we would really appreciate your sharing your thoughts. And I'll tell you, it's one survey for healthcare colleagues as well as patient family partners, but there is a place on the home screen where you can click just to the patient family partner questions items. So can we put the link for that? God, Laura, you're so good. Awesome. There's the link. So please, if you have a few minutes, complete that questionnaire for us. And with that, I will wish you a very happy afternoon and fun-filled, peace-filled weekend. And I want to give a big shout out to Rose. And not only is your program something I really, really love and believe in, but I just appreciate your bravery in joining us for this first edition of the new format. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Love you.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
You too, Dorothy. Bye-bye.
Bye.